everybody see me? All this here. Shout out to coronavirus. What's up, everybody? I am Token, aka Token Black Eye, aka Free Agent, aka Bench God, aka part of the reason Send Mental boomed. This will be either bi-weekly or weekly. It depends on a couple of things, IRL and ZGG wise. A podcast dedicated to IBS, strictly IBS teams, their players, coaches, any drama that happens. Just seeing how this stream shakes out. I've been really looking forward to doing this. I will be with my co-host Leper whenever he gets on. For now though, I am waiting on a possible special guest from one of the IBS teams. If he gets on. Also, gotta have the Fiji water. Bougie like that. Also, a special shout out to Ned. Some people know him as Odd Laner. I know him as Ronaldo or Ned. And a shout out to his graduation. He is graduating from high school, which is a big deal. Kind of, sort of. How do people not know what CPT is? Hold on, ball. I gotta give you. Can somebody give ball permissions to? The conference chat? I'm surprised he doesn't have access. Let's see if I can invite somebody. If I can invite him to it, then. Wait, ball, which voice channels can you join and stuff? Because I'll just meet you there then, if that's the case. I apologize for my co-host. I will defend him though. His wife wanted coffee and we do what our wives want because we want them to be happy, guys. Keeping your wife happy is like the most important thing in life. That being said, you will never make her happy. She will always be pissed off at you for some reason, so and everybody, this is yes. Alright, so guys, welcome to week 1 of The Liftoff, where we bring you all the latest drama news and entertainment and information regarding the ZGG IBS Summer Split for Season 6. I am your host, Token, here along with my fellow host and partner in crime who finally showed up, Leper. Yeah, who knows? I think IBS is based off of inconsistency. Exactly. So let's kick things off with some spicy drama that started at the beginning of the week, I believe, that happened regarding rifters and a little rift they had between their coaches and their players, specifically their coach or manager, Poopyhead, and their mid laner, Zeus Lord. So, of course, I think everybody saw in the banter on them going back and forth, and then Zeus putting in his free agent status on the looking for a team, and then so did a couple other players. Not something I was really expecting because I actually played them I want to say the night before or that same night that he dropped it. And they did really well. Zeus Lord was actually really strong. His Katarina was really good. His Yasuo was good from what I saw as well. I didn't really see what he played the first game. So yeah, but then apparently there were some things that Poopyhead was being critical of that Zeus Lord, I guess, didn't like, and feelings were hurt. I have the DMs up here on the doc. Let's see. Yeah, just a lot of petty insults, I guess, about one person being in the army, one person being in the Marine Corps, which I would think that's not something you really argue about. So Leper, any thoughts about this IBS? Yeah. Right. Right. Oh shit. That's probably my bad then. Let me fix the audio.
People may not know that I have told the token.
Can you hear him now?
I have been asked if you can hear me. Can you hear me? I am actively speaking. I don't have the Twitch open. I was answering a question in staff help.
We're good. My bad. I had the desktop audio muted. Well, fuckity fuck.
I've done that way too many times with my personal VOD recordings. It's a thing. This is why it's week 1. Exactly. We have it with this. This is all predictions. This is the scuffed stream where we can be completely wrong. Because week 1 will prove us fucking wrong. I can tell you that there is going to be something that we're going to say, and we're going to double down on, and then Sunday's going to happen, and we're going to look like absolute idiots. It's going to be great.
Like I've been wrong since I was not expecting this much roster volatility, and I feel like this whole drama was the start of it. It was just the tip.
It was the start, and it
threw everybody for a loop.
Oh yeah.
So. Yeah, guys, we were just talking about Zeus Lord and Poopyhead getting into it. Leper had some thoughts where he said, like, it happens, I feel like it happens the most in IBS where people get butthurt, because people get egos like I think everybody has an ego. Some people more than others. Not gonna name names. Um, um, and
Some people
so
have egos, and I guess the place from this is like my third split in IBS, and what I've observed is that there are some players, and some of these people ranked out in the last split, right?
mhm,
That for whatever reason, whether it be hard stuck, they're a one-dimensional player, and they kind of are stuck in that silver space, whether it's an intentional kind of thing, in order to stay in IBS for whatever reason, that in IBS, because individual skill can have so much more of an impact than it does in gold or plat comparatively. As you go in higher ranks, the individual skill differences lessen.
agreed.
That people are willing to tolerate and accept bad attitudes or very large egos or people that aren't willing to be team players in order to try to win. And it's much more of a thing. And especially there are some teams and some players in the past in particular that have gone out to try to gather as many of these people as possible, and it just has kind of flopped because so many of these people butting heads.
Yeah,
And that I think is where the Rifters problem will be. It's not that the players are bad or that they are assholes or that they are terribly egotistical, but it's a matter of, for a first time organization into the IBS space, of learning how to manage personalities and how to manage things, especially, and it's especially difficult as somebody who does it as a owner slash player slash manager,
right.
right? I have my methods of how I manage that. Other people have different ones, but it's incredibly difficult because you have to look at yourself under more scrutiny um, than other players, and that can cause animosity when a player feels like the manager is ignoring their own particular issues, and is only casting blame elsewhere. I've made gold teams that have had this issue.
Mhm.
I have played on teams that have had this issue. It's a common thing, and I don't mean to throw blame at anybody for this. It's a very reasonable, understandable thing. I just feel that with Rifters in particular, especially given that this has happened, and it happened on this magnitude, that is the big thing that they're going to have to overcome this split, is not so much individual skill, but more of a personal skill, so to speak.
Certainly. And I can speak from personal experience, guys. You do not want to experience the send it boom. Whether it's week 2 to week 12 and you're in playoffs, you do not want to experience it. So, honestly, that's why I think sometimes losing is good because it keeps the egos in check and it keeps people from thinking, oh, they're too high. And then you lose a game and you just tilt all the way out of the playoffs. Um,
Yeah, that'll happen. I mean, especially with Send It.
yeah,
I mean,
I
Send
can
It
make
is a
fun of it.
great example of what I'm talking about here, actually. A lot of big egos, a lot of fantastic players that really didn't have that kind of team mentality. It was very much me. So when issues occurred, there was no process, there was no method in order to handle it. And y'all would win most of the time, you know?
Yeah,
And that was a contributing factor.
certainly. Now, actually, let's get a special guest opinion. Um, can I drag him into it? I was trying to get Baller's Life. I thought Baller's Life was in the staff thing, so I was just gonna be able to get him into staff, but he's in the because he was actually I think he's still on the team. He was the top for them, so he would have
Yeah.
insight. We will come back to the League Staff Discord, but real quick, we're gonna go to the Sleep on Mike Discord in ZGG.
Oh,
All right, Ball and Doki unmute.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Oh, chilling, feeling.
All right, so you were on the team, correct? When all of this happened, you're the top laner.
Okay, first off, just letting you know, there's only so much that I can say because I don't want there to be like a whole bunch of drama. But
yeah.
as far as what I feel comfortable saying, then I'll speak freely. But in terms of everything that happened with Zeus, I was there because it happened. It basically blew up right after a scrim.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what was said between Bob and Zeus in DMs because I'm not going to invade their like personal privacy or whatever, you know.
Nor should you.
Yeah.
It's not your place.
Because I'm just their top laner. But it's not me like I'm not trying to like slander Zeus's name because Zeus is an amazing player, and I will give that to him every day of the week. But I think where the issues aligned was there was a lot of tilt, and I think that's what came to the decision. And from my understanding, Bob gave him the option of being a sub as well, and I don't think Zeus was planning on being a sub, so I think that's why we ended up parting ways with him. But I mean, hands down, like Zeus, a very strong mid.
Oh, yeah.
And we had even, I think it was Clutch, made a his opinion on where with like power rankings and everything.
Yeah.
He even placed us 4th because we had Zeus.
I can say watching you guys play and watching Zeus, and I thought he popped off in his Katarina in game 2 of our scrims, even though you guys lost that game. Like, he did really well there.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And then his fucking
that guy has like hundreds of thousands of points on Cat, and the guy plays so much Cat, it's just like, you give that guy that champion, and something's gonna happen.
So, yeah, but we were all interested. I was really surprised at Mental Boom because I was like, they played pretty well. I don't know why they would be tilting afterwards. And yet here we are. And I think that was like just the beginning. As soon as that hit, like, oh, they're free agents, then other players pop up as free agents and people start moving around, and it's like a free-for-all right now in IBS roster fest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think in regards to why the tilt happened, I think it just comes down to the elo. Because I've had conversations with coaches too, and the big issue with players in IBS of why they can't make it out is just the mental state, right? Because a lot of it's like bad cultures that were kind of forced upon players as they were learning the game. And that kind of causes people to just blame, or like just not take responsibility for their own actions. And I end up doing it too, right? Because tilt's just a natural thing in this game. You know, things don't happen the way it should, and it's upsetting because you put a lot of effort into it just for it to fail. But I think that's also the learning curve, is like taking the things that don't work out and like making them for what they are and just improving on certain types of situations.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Like that, taking personal responsibility is the key to improving in everything, not just league but in life. If you are not responsible for what is happening to you, you cannot make the changes to get better. That's the bottom line. It's in for fun activities, in serious activities. That is the key. Is if it's everybody else but you, then you're doing great, and there absolutely is nothing you could ever be doing wrong. How can you possibly get better?
Yeah.
And ego is definitely a part of that. Definitely a part of it.
Yeah.
There's other reasons that people are stuck silver. It's not all ego. It's not even necessarily all big mistakes. We all have our own issues. I know the reason that I'm a Bronze 2 Scrub Lord, so it's all good.
Yeah, as long as you're happy with it. And also, I think that's one thing I love about the team concept and having ZGG in competitive plays. Like, people can be so shitty in solo queue, but people can play and teams can play out of their minds in a team concept. If they work well, you will see higher level macro, higher level plays as far as mechanically and stuff, because people don't have to worry about thinking or relying on their other teammates to do something, or just on themselves, so they're not overthinking.
Yeah.
So that has been more insight from Ball is Life. Thank you, because we weren't there, so we are always glad for that extra information.
Oh yeah, of course.
And now we are going to get into our rosters and thoughts from the coaches for this upcoming season.
What? Now to unserver mute Jokey because he was in that channel.
I was like, Doki, you can talk. I won't hurt you. Alrighty. So the first team that we have, I just went in order of the rosters, is Eyes on Sunset, or Eyes on the Sunset team. Possibly the coolest.
For EOU.
Yes, they have possibly the coolest logo. Not gonna lie. And so for right now they have Ran It Down Bot on top, Gamer123XD for jungle, Elysis mid, Batman, who also is known as Methan Sparlow, as their AD carry, and Swanron Sun is their support, and they have quite a bit of subs, from what the roster says.
Oh yeah, they have a full 10-man roster, and they use them quite well.
Yes. And coming from Beans, their coach, he said their strongest points are probably their mid, jungle, and support. And they don't really have a playstyle set up so far, but he said their mid jungle combo will be very deadly. Those two players are very smart players. They know when to get in and get out of a fight. And some of their signature picks include Set as a flex, Aurelia mid, and a Zaya Rakan as they're probably signatures. And I think he plays expectations pretty low on his team. He said they're probably 4th to 6th place at their current status. And he said, but he does think that at the end of the season they could be top 3 and then come into playoffs pretty strong. And his thoughts on other teams, he said PLG was the hardest team that they faced, and the easiest was VBU Academy. So looking at their roster, like you said, they have a 10-man that they plan to use. I think they are a really strong team from what I've heard and like what I've seen of them. They practice pretty regularly as a team. They don't seem to have too many egos going at each other. So what do you think is the potential for this team?
So, Beans is my editor for Power Rankings, so he and I talk regularly. He's another admin. I know that this team has gone through several roster changes, primarily due to players ranking out, right? So to have so many players rank out prior to the season starting is a really good sign for what the organization is doing. They're teaching their players well. They're getting them to work together. They understand how to make silver players better. So even though I just scrimmed this team Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So even though that was a somewhat one-sided scrim, the potential and fundamentals there that will be imparted by the end of the split. This is a team that is going to have massive growth, just given the nature of the org, given the nature that they know how to maintain a semi-stable roster, given the fact that they may or may not be picking up one Mr. Token Black Guy 1.
To be confirmed or not confirmed, we shall see.
We shall see. I have heard that rumor strongly. Yeah. So they definitely are going to be a contender. I would not in any way count them out. I wouldn't say, I don't know where the beginning of the season will have them, but as we all know, the end of the season is more important than the beginning, right? The beginning may make a factor in where you place, right? But your playoff form is more important than your beginning of the season form. Nobody really cares how dominant a team was at the beginning of the season if they don't have the same 5 players and if they don't have any wins at the end of the season, you know?
Right. Definitely. I'm really interested to see what this team has in store. I've talked to Beans on a few occasions, and he seems like a really good guy. Probably one of my favorite admins, or like people that I feel like I can get along with. And I could see that their players are serious, but they not to the point where you would feel burnt out or anything. Um, that being said, I look for Batman to come in and do most of the show. I believe he is the captain, and he seems like he's very knowledgeable about the game and how he wants things to be played. And I think he and Beans have good communication together, which just means things fall through for the rest of the team, that they know exactly what's coming from the tip top and how things want to be run. Alrighty, so next we have your team, Leper.
Can I read this?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Our roster is looking strong going into the split. I feel we don't really have a strong or weak link. We live, breathe, and die as a team most games. Our main playstyle is a 1-4, and we team fight most often. We have a lot of comfort already on it. We have one chip. If it ain't broke, we don't need to fix it. Our expectation is to have fun and try and have 0 roster changes. We really don't like high expectations. We want to win, but we don't have that expectation to win. If you want my prediction for the team, on the other hand, I predict we'll be somewhere in the top 4 fighting for the championship. Tanner hasn't heard a lot about the other teams. He just does the screams and the scrims and the streams, and he doesn't know most of the time who the other team is. He hasn't seen anybody that looked that impressive yet. The only term that he's heard, team he's heard anything out was Pendulum Gaming. Pendulum Gaming was the only team to beat us in the offseason in a scrim. Again, scrims, but Pendulum Gaming is the only team that has beat us.
You never wanted to scrim us, Leper.
Hey! I tried once.
So
and y'all couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's true. So this is your team. You guys are the defending champions.
3 of us have returned. 1 of us ranked out. 1 of us retired.
Which, I mean, isn't a bad split. No. No matter how you look at it. So those were Tanner's words. How do you think this split is going to go?
I agree with that. Like, at the end of the day, I don't give a fucking shit if I win a game. Like, I want to win a game. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I want to play with those 4 people, and that's the highest concern. Is I want to do my job, and I want to play with these 4 other guys. And if we do well, that's fantastic. If not, I'm going to go out there and have a blast playing with them. I've been playing with some of these people for since like October of last year in the Devil's Spine. He's been a part of FTD that long. I played an entire split with BNJ and Freddy 2. Maxade has come on and has been a big part of things over the past couple months. We've been playing together for a while now, and it's just an absolute blast. And I don't want to change that. Like, right. if we're trying our best and we're getting beaten, who gives a shit? You know, we're trying our best, we're having a good time, so be it. If people think that that's somehow weak-minded or casual, who gives a shit? Again, like, I really don't care.
Which is honestly, that one of the best ideas. Like, you guys, I feel like with that mindset, you don't ever let those egos come into play.
Just from last season and scrims in the off season, when we lose games, it's when we try something new. Mm. When we know what we're doing, we can drive the game. Right. That's kind of how we won the title. That's kind of how our play style is we're going to try some stuff new. We're going to lose games we shouldn't lose, you know, but we're a better best of 3 team than we are a best of 1 team.
Certainly. And I do expect B&J to fully be on his best performances, possibly wanting to go back-to-back or another MVP.
In the off-season, he won Risen Rampage Open.
Yeah, so that man has just been on a complete tear across leagues and just...
He's I've supported a lot of AD carries on and off in around orbs, and he is my absolute favorite. I absolutely love supporting B&J.
Yeah, I will say as much as I thought he would have a ego, not knowing anything about him and just hearing stuff from Lynx and them, that being, I mean, it was from Lynx. I mean, he's pretty salty when it comes to B&J. So he's actually probably one of the chillest guys I've met. So
he is so calm, so chill. He tilts, but he's very, very calm. He doesn't have an ego at all.
Certainly.
It's when it's one of those things, those quiet guys that when they say they're better than you kind of have to believe it.
Yeah, he's one of those.
It's that kind of guy. He doesn't need to shout how good he is. I do it enough for him.
He's got that big dick energy.
Exactly.
I got you.
So I'll do this next one too because this is my other team.
Ah, yes.
In full disclosure, I don't own
there's
FTD.
No collusion going on, guys.
I don't own FTD. I am the captain and I play for the Feed the Dream organization.
There is no
I own
trading.
and operate First to Frontline, and I own the Dolphins organization.
Yes, Logan bequeathed Dolphins to Leper as a passing of the guard.
Yeah. So this is from Cranu, the coach. He doesn't have a lot to add. He hasn't been around very long. They don't have much of a play style yet. I believe at the time that you actually messaged about him, we had not determined a top laner at all. Like, we did not have a top laner on the roster.
Yeah.
We were trying out Cody. Cody was worrying, wanting to do other things. He wanted to go back to support. So right now, their potential for communication and real shot calling, the expectations of the season is to have the team learn how to play as a unit and make plays together. He doesn't really have any thoughts on other teams. He isn't aware who they are. He's been focused entirely on the team, and he's teasing that there are some crazy pocket picks, which is, from what little I know, is true. So yeah, this team is one of those that's probably going to be on the lower side at the beginning, right? But from the changes that Cranu has made, and it is almost entirely him, I found some players, but he has worked absolute magic in terms of pulling this team together, getting them to start to think as a group rather than a collection of individuals. On paper, they are not going to be the most individual standouts, right? You have some veterans of different leagues in terms of Professor and Stone Poet, but there's not a lot of people. There's nobody going, oh my goodness, that's the Doc 1992 there, that he's going to just roll over everybody. There's nothing there. Right. But from looking at the team over the past 2.5 weeks since I brought Cranu into the organization, he has really gone above and beyond in terms of trying to get these 5 players, 6 players with the subs, to start thinking about things as a group, that they are not alone out there, that they have these other people there, so that by the end of the split, if things continue in this way, this is probably going to be one of the hardest teams to play against because they have such good teamwork, right? Because that's the foundation that they're being built on.
Right. And I played with wait, hold on. I played with Professor and Mikado, and I actually brought in Stone. I brought in Mikado from one of my few clash teams, I think it was. I'm not sure, or my few clubs. So yeah, I think they can be really good. I would like to see Professor become more dominant. I think he has that potential, but he's plays a little bit passive at times.
You might not have seen the roster changes that just recently went in. Professor's a support now.
Oh shit! No, I have not.
And Mikado's a mid. Oh. I gotta give shout outs to my boy Lendl in the jungle. Lendl's the fucking man. And Azazel's the best sub ever. So I absolutely love these guys. They're gonna be good. They have a bunch of potential. Don't get discouraged by what the beginning of the season holds for you. It can only get better there. I've gone and I have gone winless in more than one split, both as a manager and as a player. You know what I mean? Like if you win one game, that's a success.
Right. So yeah, definitely
start at one and then go to the championship. I started last split wanting to win one series because I'd never done that before.
Yeah, so definitely a team to keep our eye on. I potentially see a lot of growth from Azazel. We brought him in just at the end, and from Killgamer as well. We didn't speak upon him. He is actually probably one of my favorite people to play with. He actually has his own channel where he plays FTF and League, but I think he has a lot of growth potential.
He's been playing a lot of Minecraft lately and has been deciding to focus on that, but I have not had the opportunity to play with him, but I've heard he's an absolute fantastic guy.
Yeah, for sure. And now we get into Goon Squad Gaming, also known as GSG. They are ran by Decker, and he said their roster consists mainly of new players. 3 out of the 5 of their players picked up the game in the last couple months, so that's pretty new. And some players are newer than others, but they all had their strong moments in practice. And his goal for the season is simply for the players to learn how to play the game and works in a competitive environment. And he thinks they will get plenty of wins along the way, but he's focused strictly on growth. As far as the pocket picks, he's going to hold those close to the vest, and he expects to show some spice. So, this being one of our new teams and new players, this is where we see a lot of new blood. This is what I love about IBS. With the higher up leagues, you see people that are either ranking up or just been there. But IBS is the place for new blood. New people come in, they can show out, and you're just like, where did they come from? And this is where it all starts. So, looking at their roster, let's see. They have Lenny in the top, Borbies in jungle, who has to finish his 60 games. So get your 60 games in because you want to play week 1. They have Mediocre Man in the mid, Ghost, Salt, and ACO's Salt, right?
Yeah, and ACO.
So, yeah, I peeped what you did there, Ghost. I'm smart, kind of. And Daydrinker as their support, and their sub is Salamander Speak. So this team is kind of a mystery to me. I expect them, like he said, if they actually focus on growth rather than just trying to win and stuff, then I think they will do well and probably end up anywhere from around 4 to 6. Anything's possible in IBS. You never know.
You really never know, because even then, there's always the chance for the late competitive ruling to shake things up.
Yes. So let's see who's next up. Next up, MIT Monkeys in Training. Coming back from, they have consistently shown strong growth, and now they're just looking to finally being able to take it all. That is pretty much what Dragonic echoed. He said they have a solid full man 10-man squad, and everyone shows promise. And them having the 10-man roster, plus, like, this was 4 weeks ago before the thing happened, they were able to figure out groups of people that work the best. And victory is the only thing that is on their minds this season, because they've been around and haven't won, and so right now they want to win the whole damn thing.
It was, I don't know how many, it was at least 3 consecutive finals appearances and then a semifinals appearance without winning a title.
So they are hungry. They have Colonel Cannon in the top, Blood Beast in the jungle, Sherm, who we all know is a staple in the mid lane. Still think Tom is better than you, Sherm, but I love you. Ball Slapper Born, also known as Ballistic, also known as the Rejected King, as their AD carry. Big ups to my man. I actually do it with him a lot. I don't get why he gets such a bad rep. I actually like him a lot. And Big Bakamaka as their support, and their entire team is stacked with support. So they have, or subs, so they can rotate people in and out. different roster spots. Basically, you have to do all your prep work for this team and be ready at any possible moment.
I think MIT is going to be solid. I mean, it's one of those things of once you as an organization know how to win games and know how to build a team, you're going to consistently perform at a high level. You may not win, you may not lose, but you're going to consistently perform at a high level once the staff in there understands how to guide a team.
Right.
And that's true for any place. You know what I mean? Like we see it in professional sports to a degree as well. That once a coach knows how to do what they do, the players don't matter as much because they will find the players that they need. And that's the way I really feel about MIT. Right. I feel that they're going to have success. It's kind of inevitable to me that they're going to be a top team, mainly just because it's MIT, right? Like the players are fine, but to me, it's even more important that they're part of that organization and what that organization has accomplished. That's not to throw shade or to diminish what these players can do or to diminish these players, as they may be the first ones in MIT to bring home that IBS title. It's more that the expectations upon them as a result of being in that org are quite high. So if they fall short, it definitely is going to be talked about.
Mm-hmm. And so next up, do you want to take this? Because I think I've played them once, but it was while I was on Shadows, and it was like early on in the season.
I played them once when Shadows was still a thing.
Yeah.
So from Cakes, the owner of the organization, they're looking solid. He doesn't exactly know the entirety of the team. He runs the organization. He's not the coach. He doesn't there. From what he's seen and heard, he doesn't see them losing a lot. He thinks they're a T2 team, if not the top team. There's little kinks that every team needs to work on, but they've had good practices, and the team meshes really well. So I have full confidence that they will get those kinks worked out. They have not had any major roster changes in about 2 months.
No, they have been solid in practicing their asses off, and I hear from everybody that they are looking like a top 2, top 3 team.
They are looking like a top team. They 100% are. They've beaten just about everybody in scrims. I know they lose every now and then here and there, but this is a good roster. They know what they're doing. They've developed a lot of synergy. In terms of stable, actively practicing roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways, this is the most veteran team in the league, right? Yeah. Like, we took a long break after the split while these guys were practicing and forming their roster. Yeah. Like these guys have basically been together since, I'm going to say, the beginning of April, somewhere in there. They've been together at least 2 months prior to this split, and they have a lot of time playing together. Personally, for me, this is my number one team coming into week 1.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't played them a lot. I think I've only played them twice, I want to say.
I played them once, right when we were coming off of our break, and we got fucking clapped.
Yeah, I think it was like one of the first weeks in. Of course, being on Shadows, we had already had a lot of the team, so it was, and they were a fairly new team then, so I think we won. But that being said, their team was strong. I really like to see how their bot lane does specifically. I think their support is a really strong player. Nerf, I think he's really good. Yasuo only. I don't really like that name, but I mean it helps you guys with prep work. Ban Yasuo. Then again, in IBS, you should kind of always ban Yasuo because somebody on their team plays it. So yeah, PLG looking to be a really strong team. That being said, we never know what could happen. I haven't spoken to any of the players personally. That is something I will be looking to do with all the teams after week 1 or week 2, is speak to a couple players from each team and try to gauge where the team is at mentally and try to figure out more about the teams and their personalities. So going on to one of the most infamous teams, not only in IBS, but in ZGG. Doki does not care who you are. He will take you. If you need a home, Doki will take you, and he will turn you into a complete wild animal. A lot of people don't agree with how Doki plays. It is what it is. But I understand his mindset as far as giving people a specific chance, telling them, hey, practice on your own, but practice these champs. If you guys want to play, then he puts a lot of the onus and responsibility on the players, which I kind of like.
There's something to be said for that. People have jobs, people have lives, people have other teams. It's a system that works in a lot of ways. There's a demand for places where it's kind of that drop in, drop out style, to put it crudely.
Yeah. So their team, the thing on the IBS, the roster thing, isn't completely accurate because I think Ned is their actual starting ADC now, and they have Adderett as their support, really strong player.
They just picked up TJ,
yeah.
So
I saw that.
Yeah.
Winter is their top laner, Mr. Starks is their jungle, and Tiger Stripe is their mid. Okay, I have a thing to say real quick because I caught Tiger Stripe last night in solo queue. Fuck you for not listening to me. Just kidding, but no, really. It was a good game. He played really well. I would say he played trend. He played trend top, and he played it really well. Except I would say just knowing when to split push. But obviously things would be different in a team environment. I think Doki knows when to push players, and I feel like if players buy into Doki's system, it works a lot better than when they're just like feel burnt out from it. So yeah, that being said, I never know with Roar where they could go. They could win the whole thing. They could end up at the bottom. You never really know.
In IBS, Roar tends to be a top team.
Yes.
The past two splits, Roar has finished regular season second. Split 5, they went out in semifinals. Split 6, they lost in finals. Very one-sided series. Yes. If you would like to watch Roar get clapped on the finals, you can find it on the Zero Gravity Gaming YouTube page.
Yep, you sure can. And I just heard Duero is actually their mid laner. They're starting mid laner now, and Ned is going to ADC. So I guess Tiger Stripe is a.
They picked up Orbit apparently.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did. I don't have much to say about that. We don't.
I mean that's a solid looking roster you got there, Doki. Mad Jack 20 probably as far as the veteran top laners from last split goes, who would be the number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Orbit 32. Jungler that's been around in a couple different other places, a mid laner that I can't pronounce, I have nothing to say about, an AD carry that I can't pronounce, but I know that their name is Nedis Roni. Yeah. Really good AD carry. I enjoy supporting the guy. And Winter is a veteran support. Like these are people that have been around. They know what they're doing. It's a matter of listening to Doki and putting it all into one package of ultra late game scaling.
Nobody I have seen has been able to contain that which is Orbit. I call him Flash on Heckram. That's a different story for another time. I will be interested to see how he and Ned work together because back when they were both on Dolphin, they never really, I would say, gelled well. It's hard to rein in Orbit because you got to remember, Orbit's 16, 17, and he's getting his way to gold. Like, he is a strong player. He knows what he's doing. He's a very good solo queue player. It's about getting him to do well in the team setting. And who knows, maybe Doki is the magic touch that he needed. That being said, I don't want him to end up like Dardoch and keep switching teams because of things said or not listening, because I think he could be a really, really good player in a team environment. Ned, I want to see you be more aggressive this split. I know you have the mechanics. I have no doubt about that, but you have to be more aggressive. Don't be afraid to make those plays because I feel like that's what makes players or makes plays good. That we see is that the player had the guts to go in and try that. So yeah, RAR will be interested to see. I expect them to finish top 4 probably because Doki. And next we have Revolution Esports, my old team. I would consider them a top 3 team. Um, so from Zufo, the coach, the roster looks extremely strong. He thinks they're a really high tier team and that they don't have any links, weak links, really. And he doesn't want to put too much info out there about their play style. And they do have some spicy picks. I'm not going to release them because I feel like that would be unjust and unfair to them. I will say that they are spicy and pretty fun to play with. But yeah, from the top down, they are a strong team. You got Dan coming back after a hiatus, one of the top mid laners or top laners in ZGG IBS history. You got Doc, known for his top tier jungling. He was top 2 jungle last split. You got Kurt, also known as Unknown Angel, in the mid lane, who's a solid player. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes and understands macro wise what he needs to do in his lane. You have Lynx, who is the starting AD carry, who played for Sinded last split. I would say a top 2, top 3 ADC on his worst day, probably. And you have Tex, who is new to the ZGG competitive scene, but I would say he is really, really good at supporting and understanding macro and just when to make plays and stuff. One of my favorite people to play with, I will say. So I think they are a top 2, top 3 team. I think we didn't lose that many. We won so many scrims, we just stopped playing scrims for like a month because we were just like, we don't want to burn out. But yeah, and everybody makes jokes about them being MIT because 3 out of the 5 players used to be MIT. I think so.
Look, I'm sorry. I got distracted.
Yeah.
I don't know. 2 at least. Doc and Denobi. Probably Doc
and then Zufo was also on.
Yeah, Zufo was MIT. Yeah.
So they don't like people calling them MIT, but he said to look out for a comment regarding that. And so they're looking to clear their name of anything to do with MIT and just be their own team. And so then next we have Rifters.
We've talked a lot about Rifters.
Yes. Ball is Life, a strong top laner. Noise, who is their jungle, because Bob moved down to AD carry from jungle. Stepper Ryan, their mid laner. Cody is their support. Their starting support, and Avarice is going to be their sub. So honestly, with the addition of Cody to support and having Bob move to AD carry and Ball's, I think they went from being a middle of the pack team to being a possible top 4 team with those moves. Cody is, I would say, I think last split he was between you and him. You guys were the top 2 supports in ZGG.
Depends on what you value in a support about which one is the better, if that makes sense,
yes.
Right?
Cody's
a much better laner than I am.
Yeah.
I am much better out of the lane than Cody. I think both of us would agree on that.
Cody liked to win the lane, dominate it with heavy pressure, and he kind of left the macro up to other people, which I feel like wouldn't be an issue with Bob doing that. I think Bob likes to control the macro on that team.
He was jungler last split. He has a good brain on him.
Yeah, so I feel like Cody won't have an issue being able to give up those again and just focus solely on winning lane again. So yeah, I think this is a really strong team. Let's see.
Yep. Yeah. Who else we got?
And then our final team, BBU Academy, with a lot of moves recently. I believe
they picked up the Zeus Lord.
Zeus Lord is their starting mid. Neo, I believe, is their sub mid laner. They got Maximum as their starting support. Swag Money Boy as their jungle. Snow Powder at the top lane. Yeah, they just have a really full team. This coming from The Truth Within. He said they have a really strong roster than they had before. with more motivation to improve players. And this is coming from him last night, so this is fresh and more self-confidence than before. He's brought on a couple players that haven't done the competitive league scene before outside of Rig, so they're developing them. You wouldn't say they have any veterans, but they do have news. So, I mean, they do have some veterans.
Renox and Maximum played their last split.
I think so.
Yep, they did.
He says he's fairly confident that they will get top 4, and he'd be happy to be there. So they haven't really nailed down picks that they're going to be playing with, so he's not going to really say anything about play style. But yeah, on paper, could be a strong team. I will say last split they didn't really have that, but this could be the turnaround where they're like, they kick it into high gear and go from, where did they finish last split? 8th, 9th? 6th. Oh, well, shoot, they could get top 3.
Won the gauntlet and lost in quarterfinals.
Right. Yeah.
They were 6th in the regular season.
Yeah. So, honestly, I see no reason why they can't get top 4 then. And that's the wonderful thing about IBS is you never really know. And so Leper, we finally got through all of those rosters. Any dark horses or players or games to watch for week 1? What'd you say?
It's the team that I'm going to be looking at the most is PLG.
Right.
I think a lot of people have said in so many times that it's not going to be a surprise anymore that PLG will surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of thing. That this is the team that I think a lot of the people that pay attention to IBS are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say that people aren't going to be looking elsewhere. Personally, I'm going to be looking at first to frontline to see how they do. Partly because I'm playing against them, partly because I own them. That kind of thing.
Week 1, you guys played together. Collusion.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the reason, is so that we can't be accused of match fixing later in the season when one of us might make playoffs and one of us might not. You know, and that's why we get it out of the way early. But overall, PLG and Rifters are the 2 teams that I'm looking at to kind of cement where they feel that they're going to be. I don't think that there's going to be, because there's so much new, you know what I mean? There's always the potential for upsets. There's always a potential for unknowns. But in general, I see a lot of these veteran teams winning, not because necessarily individual skill, but just because they understand how to play competitive and how it differentiates from solo queue. That's kind of my viewpoint. I don't have anything terribly amazing. Let me see who's all playing. Outside of the stream game, Pendulum Gaming versus Monkeys and Trains.
That's probably
I would say that, I know it's not streamed, but I would say that this is the hype match.
Somebody from either team stream it. I want to watch that afterwards.
That's going to be a really good series. And Rifters versus RAR, those are probably my picks for the 2
I feel like there'll be
best
picks.
games of the week. Excuse me. Yeah, I just want to say to everybody who's watching, everybody that's new, there's been some banter, there's been some shade thrown, particularly by myself. I'm a shady guy at times. To everybody, welcome to Zero Gravity Gaming IBS. I absolutely love this league. It's a great opportunity to learn, to get new people. It's in a lot of ways the foundation of the league. People stay here, people get involved in the community here. We're all intermixed and intermarried in these teams. We know each other, we play for each other, and we're all kind of invested in playing here specifically. It's a really friendly community, and even though banter and shade get thrown around and egos get thrown around, in general, it's a very, very welcoming place, and we really are glad to have you here and want you to help us grow and make this the best place for Silvers to play. Welcome. Enjoy this podcasting experiment.
This is the Scuff stream. Remember that, guys. So yeah, it has been a pleasure having you guys all here for ZGG's first episode of The Liftoff, covering all your IBS news and entertainment. If you'd like to be a guest or have a topic or suggestion, just inbox myself. I'm available to be inbox or Leper. If you'd like this to be weekly, let us know and show your support. Or otherwise, it'll probably be bi-weekly or every 3 weeks.
We have something interesting to talk about, we will talk.
Yes, that is for sure. Busy life, Leper, married life, me, married life, yep. Had a new baby and promotion, so busy life. But if you guys want to do that, I am in the process of doing other stuff outside of this as far as content creation. I'll tell you guys all about that at a later date. So just let us know. I am your free agent. I am your host, Token, along with quite possibly the Swedish guy in ZGG, LeperKoopa, and we are saying so long and signing off. Peace.